Yeah.
I wasn't a happy bunny yesterday. Hello, good afternoon, good afternoon, welcome. And yes, I'm back to do another one. I'll tell you what, I don't know what's happening with StreamYard, but it's acting like a pain in the backside. We are trying to work it out, and we'll definitely sort it out. Anyway, hello, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Long time no see.
I know, right? It's been like a whole month.
Tell tell everybody tell everybody what you do, and because we're getting new people on here all the time, it's going crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's been booming for you. My name is Kelly Hansen. I am the founder of BCC Evolution, which is a mental health and suicide awareness nonprofit in Denver, Colorado, in the US.
Brilliant,
And
very good. Go on, carry on.
oh, I was just going to say everything that we do is education based. So we do a lot of classes centered around mental health and suicide awareness so that we can get people educated and understanding more and having those hard conversations.
Brilliant. What are you doing about schools, about educating schools and stuff?
We just started working with one of the districts that are here in Colorado most recently this year. And we are offering mental health first aid classes. So if you're not familiar with that, basically it's a international and US based training through mental health first aid that teaches you how to identify, recognize, and assist those that may be experiencing a mental health or substance use challenge. And so we started in the schools this year, just really trying to get those classes up and running for the staff specifically,
Right,
and then we also work with the schools at their new teacher orientation. We offer Be Kind to Your Mind care packages for teachers, so we bring those every year for all the new teachers.
right, okay. What made you start this in the beginning? Was it just an idea? I get my ideas when I'm in the shower or I'm kind of like walking in the park or something. Where did you get your idea for this?
I started this in 2018 after I lost my middle sister to completed suicide in 2017. And so really it was just that tragedy that I experienced, and I didn't have a whole lot of understanding as to what she was going through. She had attempted suicide 6 other times, and for me, like, I literally had shut off my emotions cuz I didn't understand why she didn't want to be alive. And over the past 4.5 years, I've gained a ton of education and knowledge and skills to be able to help people. And that's really what I want to do the most out of everything is support those that are in need so you don't feel so alone and you don't choose to complete the act of suicide.
Right, okay. And and how far has it come now? Have you made like a foundation, and has a lot of people kind of like come to you and helped you fund your charity or your organization?
Yeah, so BCC Evolution was founded in 2018. We do have our 501c3 um IRS documents, and I so over time I was working a full-time job in a corporation and kind of doing it as my side project for the first 3 years, and then I jumped in headfirst last year in May, and so I've been doing this full time for a little over a year. I want to say funding is generally the biggest challenge that we come across, just because as a nonprofit, you cannot survive just off of donations and fundraising. You really truly have to start generating revenue in some sort of aspect. So how we do that is we teach the mental health first aid classes. We also actually just rolled out our new education, which is called Breaking the Cycle of Trauma. And it's just more of an up level from the mental health first aid. And we also have swag and different campaigns that we do because nonprofits are businesses. So they really need to be ran
Mm.
as businesses. Otherwise, you won't be able to survive.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Um, and with your business, how many people do you have people working for you, or are you doing it like a just little group of friends and everything?
No, I do have a board. So I currently have 3 members on my board. We are looking to add more this year, but you can't actually, as a nonprofit, at least in the US, and I think it's across the board, you can't have family members or friends be part of the board. There's a lot of rules and restrictions around nonprofits in general. So everybody is volunteer with our board. I'm the only educator currently, and person that gets partially paid. I wouldn't say actually paid, but does all the education and all the background, everything. But everybody else is pretty much volunteers.
Well, if you get any, if it's any vacancies coming up, and you can take people over from the UK, then then I'd like to be put forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know the regulations around like whether they have to be in the US or not. I'll check into that and I would love to keep
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I do, quite a lot of charities. I'm on, a lot of committees like Mind, and quite a lot, raise a lot of money for Mind. And so with your trouble is, trauma and kind of like in mental illness, the levels have gone up. A lot of people has suffered trauma in their life, and the trouble is, some people are afraid to actually get the help that they want to because they don't want to bring it all up no more. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've really noticed that throughout this pandemic, right? Like we're being restricted and not being able to go out, and now the world is starting to reopen, but we still have this fear that's in the back of our heads, and now we're dealing with these challenges that are coming up that we never had to deal with before, right? Like depression is really high, anxiety is really high, the overwhelming feeling of fear is really high. And so acknowledging what is happening, I think, is the first step. And then having those tough conversations as far as instead of just saying, like, we'll pass people every day, like, how are you doing? Fine, right? Like, it's a normal thing to say fine, but like, really, truly, how are you doing? If somebody actually says to you, how are you doing? Don't say fine if you're really not fine. Like, let's start having the hard conversations. Like, I feel like crap today, or like this is bothering me, or I feel really alone and nobody's going to listen. Like have those conversations. And by doing that, we can start to break down the stigma that's just centered around mental health in general and find that one trusted person. If you don't have one trusted person, it could be like your doctor. If you've been going to the same doctor for eons, right? It could be that one person. It could be a counselor or a psychologist or somebody that you've been talking to, a best friend, a parent, whomever it might be. But find that trusted person that you can have those hard conversations with, and don't be scared to have them.
See, that's too that's too well to say that. But the trouble is, especially like friends and everything, because we can have two sorts of friends. We can have the friend that will probably be with us, whatever we do in our life. Then you, then you got somebody else who really kind of like only be there when they want to. You know what I mean? So, And the trouble is, I was told one day you'd be lucky to have three friends, three true friends in this
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, like you said, like it is, it's really hard to actually have those conversations. It's totally easier said than done for sure. And I am just saying that maybe at some point we should start asking for help when we need it, because I know personally myself, I don't do it often enough, but I have to remind myself that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to feel vulnerable and it's okay to cry, right? Like I'm not like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
over
Mm.
crier or over sharer, but I have to remind myself that it's okay that sometimes we do need help. And so, yeah, it can be really, 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 really hard to.
Yeah. See, because I'm a mental health campaigner in where I live, right? Where I live here in England. Now, and I remember kind of like I wanted to commit suicide up a bridge, right? Biggest bridge in the UK. And the trouble is, and when I was on that bridge, I just wanted to go. I just wanted to go. I wanted my life to end just there and then. And um, and the trouble is, when we are kind of like needing more help, and when we get put into sections under the Mental Health Act, and you're put into like a psychiatric unit, you get left for your own devices, right? So there's no support network there until unless you have a break, completely, go off and be kind of like, you're not right and you're not, you're really upset, and then they will come along and give you a pill and everything. But the trouble is, in these psychiatric hospitals these days, they just leave you to your own devices.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's across the board too in the US, right? Like we do a 72-hour hold. So if somebody attempts suicide, they put them on a 72-hour hold and you get not thrown, but I guess you get put into the hospital. And then you get kind of left to go over that 72 hours, right? Like they probably ask the questions and they try to find out what's going on, but like, are they really truly helping? I don't know. One of the things that at least I have learned and found that has been beneficial for people that do experience like suicidal ideation is that creating your own personal safety or self care plan. BCC Evolution has created one that really, it's like you said, sometimes you don't even have those three trusted people, but honestly, three is the number that I go by because a triangle is the strongest structure in the world. And at a high point, if you create the safety plan because you know that you're somebody who experiences lows, you can have this in place to remind you, like, what does light me up? Like, what makes me happy? What am I grateful for? What are my resources, right? In the US, we have like the National Suicide Hotline, we have the National Crisis Hotline, which can be text anytime or called any time of day. So, like, what are those resources that I do have access to, and put it on a piece of paper. And then when you get to those bottom of the bottoms, right? Like it's a reminder and it may or may not help. I'm not saying that any of this is perfect by any means, but I think that having the idea of something that can help you get out of that low point could potentially save your life. And the caveat that I say to people is if somebody does choose to take their own life, it's not your fault. And we have to be okay with that too, which is really, really hard.
What happens if somebody, um, we got like we can bring up the mental health line here where we live, but that's fine. But how about if people want to see like somebody one to one who needs that extra support, do you have that over there?
Yeah, we definitely so BCC Evolution, like I put us in the professional and the holistic space. So not everybody wants to go to a professional, and not everybody wants to utilize like that holistic space. So find what works for you. And just because somebody tells you that somebody's really good as a counselor or a therapist or whatever, if they don't click with what you need, advocate for yourself and find somebody that does, because there are plenty of people out there that you can talk to. And there's lots of counselors, there's lots of psychologists, there's lots of therapists, there's a lot of coaches out in the world today. And if that one person is not the right person, find another person. You don't have to feel stuck with just that one specific person. But I know that I like to vet people. I don't just give out resources because it seems like a great idea. Like, I want them to be helpful, not hurtful.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What do you over? What is? Have you been busy? In where you live, is it been really really busy? Is people kind of now we're getting over the COVID? It's a lot. Do you get a lot of people come to you now, or is it laid off a bit?
I mean, I feel like it's more intense now. People are really starting to figure out that they may be struggling, or they might be experiencing a mental health challenge, right? And because, like I said earlier, we have this fear around now going back into the world. Like, am I going to get COVID? Am I gonna get sick? And like the newest thing that came up, like monkeypox, like all these things keep popping up. And so it's like, I think that I've been more busy lately, at least with our classes that we do. I mean, we have a class that's this Saturday, and we already have 26 people in the class. So people want to get educated. They want to know more about how they can help people, which I think is really cool. Like that makes me really happy.
Brilliant. That's very good. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Um, with your what plans have you got at the moment where people can kind of like come along and join you?
So we do our classes. Offer them, at least the mental health first aid ones. If you're in the US, you can take ours. If you are in the UK, I actually have a partner that she teaches them also in the UK. So if you are in the UK and you want to take a mental health first aid class, I can refer you over to her. And then our classes, so breaking the cycle of trauma, those can be taken globally because we do everything virtually. It's just whether you want to wake up during the UK time or wake up during the US time to be able to take the class. But I haven't thought about doing it on like a UK time frame. I might have to think about that so we can expand our classes.
Right. Okay then. Thank you very much. Last couple of questions before we go. The when if you get people who are kind of stuck in a rut, say, who's not really who their mental health is kind of like totally out of control, they're unwell. What's your next move? What do you do?
I mean, most of the times I either one of two things is recommend them to seek professional help or holistic, whichever that might look like. If it's something that they're just not wanting to do, which is absolutely okay because it is your choice and nobody, you shouldn't be forced to do anything. I know that sometimes that's not the case, but you really shouldn't. You can look into more of like self-help techniques, which is just offering suggestions as far as if they have experienced this before, what has helped them in the past. Has it been like meditation, yoga, writing? Has it been journaling? Is it any of those type of techniques? And if it is or has been helpful in the past, I just suggest that maybe they try to do that again. But otherwise, I mean, I really, for at least for me, because BCC Evolution, we really are more in the education piece. We don't so much handle crises. So when you really truly are in that crisis, that's when I offer up the suggestion, whether it be professional, holistic, you look into working with myself or another coach, um, any of those different areas, but find support. Like, you do not have to go at this alone. You are not alone. There are lots of us out there in the world that want to help you and actually truly want to help you and not harm you. So reach out and get some support, whether it be a mentor, a coach, a professional, or whatever that might be. But definitely when we're in that crises area, that's when I offer up different suggestions, and it may or may not work for them. So everybody's so different. It is really case by case.
Right, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today. That was quick, wasn't
Yeah, no, I love joining you. Thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it.
it? Yeah, I really enjoy it too. A lot of people want to know about it, and especially people in the US. You know,
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, Steve.
Bye.